Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update, and I am your host, Candi CWall, checking in as I do all throughout the NFL season to give you the latest and greatest information on the Washington Commanders. This is a live Bowie television recording. Everything we say and do here currently is live through my Facebook as well as the Bowie TV YouTube channel. But if you are watching on television, that would be Verizon Channel 11 or Comcast Xfinity Channel 77. Hello, hello, hello to you. And you all, I normally do lives during the season. And as we all know, the Washington Commanders season has now come to an end. OMG, it has come to an end. So maybe these lives will as well for this season. I don't know. We're going to continue, of course, to keep the content and the episodes coming. But whether or not I continue to do lives, we'll see. But for right now, let's go ahead and enjoy this moment. Get your Washington Commanders loving family and friends right on in on this live stream. Say hello to Mama and Pops Waller. I see that folks have already joined in. Mazdak is already in the conversation and has hopped on in there. If you're watching from Facebook, make sure you hit that love button and share the show. If you're watching from YouTube, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed. As I mentioned, and as we all know, the Washington Commanders fell down hard to the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship on the Bowie TV YouTube channel. You'll also see this on the television screens as well, but available now on the YouTube channel. You will see, I think we have about 16 or so end of year press conferences. Listen, locker room cleanup always stinks. It's never fun. It's the least fun day of the season. So that was today for the Commanders, but we were able to get shout out to Darrell, also Bowie TV photographer, videographer. Shout out to Darrell because he was there with me to be able to help to get all of this content. So you'll see I think it's about 15 or 16 interviews with all your, many of your favorite Washington Commanders players. So make sure you are locked in on YouTube or the Bowie TV YouTube, subscribed, share it all. There's a lot there to digest and to just hear what players are saying. So we're going to go ahead and listen. I was the one that was late because I'm coming from Ashburn. I'm actually coming from Ashburn. So I'm the late one today. So if you jumped in here, that is because you are on time. But like I said, make sure you say hello to Mama and Pops Waller. We're going to go ahead and get into this conversation because as always, there's a lot to discuss. Absolutely a lot to discuss. We're going to start here with the game that I love to play. It's what's your one word? When you saw that final score and when the game was officially over for the Washington Commanders, what was your one word? What was your one word to describe how you felt after the Commanders went down real bad, real hard to the Philadelphia Eagles? I will put up as many comments as I can up on the screen so you all can see them. Cameron Mingo says, you know what? When it was all said and done, that was the end of this of this road, of this journey, of this wild, amazing ride. But Cameron Mingo says, hey, his one word is proud. That is his one word. I see Stephen Askins here says he hated the score. Yep, absolutely. Was definitely not the score everyone had on their bingo card, yet that was the score that it was. So go ahead and drop in the chat your one word to describe how you felt when the Commanders' magical season ended at the NFC Championship at Lincoln Financial Field. It was. I see some others coming in here with their one word. James Roundtree said he was disappointed. The score was not at all what I expected. Not necessarily saying that I expected a win or loss, but I will say I wasn't expecting that score. And I stay away from predictions. You all know this. You should know this about me if you watch me on this show or others. I really try to stay away from predictions. Don't do predictions. But would not have put that on my bingo card at all. James also put here that his one word, another one of his one words is hopeful. So lot to be thankful for in this season, right? I think I've posted, if you follow me on Facebook, I've definitely said a few times, hey, look, and you all have heard me say, and if you've been watching this show for a while, you all know this as well, that I've been on site with the Commanders for a bit now. And by all means, this was fantastic of a season. It really, 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 really was fantastic. All things considered, it was great. Because I've definitely, you can't go from covering and you all from witnessing a 4-13 season to witnessing what we've seen this season with in all the first, right? In terms of the Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, Jaden Daniels, the different additions to the team. It's not, definitely wasn't the ending anyone expected, but at the same token, it's like, well, who even thought they would be where they are? So, with that being said, I'm just going to jump into. I'm kind of going to start with today since that's kind of fresh in my mind. It's overall, and I know I got some questions in. So if you sent me a question and posted it on my page, I will answer that question. So I want to get the questions and get an opportunity to answer them. But I think I'm going to share some clips from the end of season press conference with General Manager Adam Peters and Head Coach Dan Quinn, because I definitely see some takeaways there. I'm going to share, if you haven't seen it already, Jaden Daniels after game presser. He did do a scrum today with media, so you definitely want to check that out, the full thing on the Bowie TV YouTube channel. You want to check that out. And again, if you're watching on TV, it will definitely soon air on television as well. So I think I will tell you this, and I've posted it and I've shared this. If you were emotional about the loss, if you were blown, if you were upset, if you were highly disappointed, you are not alone. You are not alone, because I don't think anybody is more disappointed than the folks over in Ashburn at the Washington Commanders training facility. If you got a feel from any of the after game pressers that you saw or anything that you've seen so far today, that is just, like a very tough pill to swallow for this team. It is. And with that being said, let me jump into this clip from the end of season press conference held today, as I just mentioned, with Dan Quinn and Adam Peters, and Dan Quinn's opening statement. Check it out.
All right. Good to see everybody. A lot of thought from last night and today, and our team has a lot going for it. They've got brotherhood and toughness and work ethic, and there's just one thing we didn't have, and we just got it last night, and those are scars. And you can't get them when you first huddle up, and you got to earn them, and as sure as hell don't want to, but you do need them to grow. And you truly don't know who you are until you get your ass knocked down and see how you get back up. And if I know anything about our team, they will absolutely get up swinging. And so as AP and I, we can sit up here and point to every great win this game has given us. But I know we'd also spend more time on the losses. And that we still ain't over years later. But all of them led to he and I being here together. And together I wouldn't want to ride strong with anybody else. And so he's been an amazing partner for me all the way through. And so a lot to be thankful for our team. I'm not there yet. I will be one day, but I'm not there today. So all that said, I'll kick it over to Adam.
As you can see, again, these are folks that are in shock. Um, yeah. And being very frank, and I appreciate it. Dan Quinn's honesty in saying he's not there yet. I mean, this was just last night, right? Or just yesterday around this time. That they really had to even kind of, I think it's a shock. As Jaden Daniel shared with media earlier today, he felt sick this morning. He's sick about it, and everybody is, they all are. And it's just one of those things where you have such high expectations for yourself and you didn't live up to those expectations, not even nearly, right? And you you just did not play the brand of football that you play, period. Aside from what anybody, we could go down a whole rabbit hole of all the things that went wrong in the game, in the NFC Championship, and it would be a ton of things because many things went wrong. But I think for me, in summary, it's simply this: they did not play the brand of football that they play. It's not even what they want to play. It's they didn't even play what they play. They don't even do what they do. And that is why I think they're in shock. I think they are a bit discombobulated. I think they're sick. I think even, what Coach Quinn said, he's not there yet. This is a tough pill to swallow. When and I was sharing this with someone earlier, I said, it's like when someone can do better and they just disappoint you and you disappoint yourself and you're like, I'm better than this. I'm better than this. Why didn't I act accordingly? Why didn't I do accordingly? That's what it feels like, where it's like everybody's like, what was that? What was that? And then it's enough what was that to go around, that it's not about finger pointing. It's just simply at the highest moment, you chose the worst possible day to have the worst game you've had all season, because I think it's clear, love button, fire emoji. We all watched the Washington Commanders team that we had not seen. And now there was certain things that we have seen, right? We've seen turnovers against the Eagles now. We've seen turnovers against the Eagles because they had them in round 2 against the Eagles. You've seen mismatches and botched things on defense. You've seen DPIs on defense. We've seen all of those things before. I think it was the culmination of all of them happening all almost like at the same time within the same game that was like, oh no, this is happening right now. I think that's the thing of it. And it just all happened at once. It just all happened at once. And we haven't seen, it's like the things that they don't do well at times, it was like all of them happened in the same game. Here's what I want to go back to in terms of what Dan Quinn shared in his opening statement, was that one of the things they didn't have was scars. And I thought about that last night, right? I thought about, of course, he said that today, but last night I said, you know what? They haven't really got punched in the mouth, like for real, like tears punched in your mouth, right? That hadn't happened to them yet. They've lost some games, but you're still in single digits of the losses. And even some of the losses weren't like that bad, right? But this, at a time like this, you're going to learn from this one. Because at the end of the day, you're going to say, I remember what that felt like. And it's going to be a story, right? They get always, oh, I remember, for some of these players, most of them, I remember my first NFC Championship game, right? Or just those moments, and they'd be like, oh God, and it was horrible. It was embarrassing. It was this, it was that. And I'm like, they relatively, and then when they face adversity, they find a way to come back. And it wasn't any coming back. It wasn't gonna come back from this. And I remember sitting in the press box, and I remember saying and making a comment and saying, okay, well, as long as they're smiling, I'm gonna smile, okay? And it was a certain thing that happened, and I said, they're not coming back from this one. This is where the buck stops. Right here. And it's gonna hurt, it's going to sting, it's going to suck, it's going to be so bad. And I was like, I do not want to go downstairs in this situation right here. But you know what? It's part of what your identity is, part of how you will define yourself as you continue to move forward. And I was talking about that last night. And when Dan Quinn said it today, I said, he's right. They didn't have the scar. They didn't have the bruise. They dealt with some adversity and they overcame them, right? Cardiac commanders, right? Comeback commanders, whatever you want to call them. And now it was they just got beat, Commanders. Okay. They just got beat real bad in the NFC Championship. And because they have so much, their standards are very high. I think our standards and goal posts for them is so much lower than what they have for themselves. So they are all hurting. They're hurt. They sick about this. They are like, I don't know what that was just. Duh. And Coach Quinn shared that, and you saw that in his expression, as well as Adam Peters, which is going to have me go to the next piece of today's clip, which I want to share with you all, which was my question to Adam Peters. Check this out, and I definitely want to dissect his response back a bit more, because this continues to pull on the thread of what I'm sharing, of just the headspace where they're in right now, and just their overall not expecting to be where they are today. They didn't see this one coming. And we may have all saw it. They did not see it. Check out my question and Adam Peters' response.
Hey there, and this question is for Adam. As you both have mentioned, this is a tough day for you all and for the players as well, but it's still kind of business as usual, right? It's Senior Bowl week, and there's still work to be done. So how do you just kind of focus, Adam, to say, okay, I got to feel the way I feel, but continue on with doing the work of the business?
Yeah, it is. It's sobering, but then getting down, and we're going to go down. A few of us are going to go down to the Senior Bowl tomorrow, and so that's exciting. And we're going to do that. Whatever the result of the game was, but really exciting to go down there and be with the guys, be with our scouts that are out on the road all year and working their tails off to get ready for the draft. So, I didn't prepare for this day, and maybe that's silly, but I didn't, and wasn't expecting this. And so, you got to kind of come in and turn the page. And so we did that today. And then tomorrow we'll go back down there and look ahead and get caught up with all that stuff. And then it's the rest of the off season. So it never stops. It really doesn't. But it'll be good to get down there and see the guys and be around the guys. It'll be fun.
So, couple things. As Adam Peters said, and as you all have heard me say, it never stops. The work does not stop. I.e., look at me and some of my other, of course, Commanders media, local media beat. We don't stop working because there's always something going on. And we were actually saying today that we feel like we've been working a solid year, because last year this time, right, it was especially last year this time, Adam Peters had just come on. We had a press conference with Adam Peters, and then it was like, who is he going to hire? Who's going to be the coach? It was all the things. Then Dan Quinn comes, and then his coaching staff. It was just nonstop. It was which quarterback, It was just a nonstop. But it really is nonstop. It really is. As he said, and as I asked him about, it's Senior Bowl week. Okay, if you all follow collegiate sports, chime in if you do. It is Senior Bowl week. Okay, it's Senior Bowl. So, as I mentioned, as they said, if you heard that press conference, it was a tough day. That was a tough loss. It wasn't like they are not taking this one on the chin and just rolling over and being like, okay, time to go to work. They are upset. Everybody. Big moment in Adam's response. And again, I appreciate the vulnerability there. And that is simply that he admitted he didn't plan for today. He didn't plan for today. He said it right there in the response. He didn't plan for today. Did not see it coming. They really thought they had it. They did. And that's why I said, I don't want to go down in this locker room. I don't want to go down here. Okay. And absolutely this comment right here aligns with what I'm sharing. They were serious this whole time. We like, oh, they being so nice and they're being so kind, right? Rebuild, recalibration, and in the press conference overall, and that's on the YouTube channel as well. Dan Quinn went into a bit more of the definition of that, because he was like, a rebuild is, tearing everything down. It's like, we weren't tearing everything down because there's pieces here, there's people here, there's things that fit the culture in who they are, not necessarily who they want to be, who they believe that they are. That it is there, right? You got to do some shifting around, do some moving around of things, but that's what he feels like a recalibration is. And so I'm just saying and thinking back to this comment of the whole time we were the ones like, oh, they're not going to do this and do that. And so I see this comment from Harmony Mitchell, and we're really not talking about Philadelphia right now, but I'll answer it. Do you believe it was a wise decision to basically put out a hit on Jalen with the "we are going to treat him like a runner"? It was one of the reasons Philly was throwing bows out of the gate. I'm going to keep this comment here because I love when people ask me questions that never come on the show. And so let me address this. Every quarterback is treated like a runner once they go in motion, period. That's football 101. But the reason why the Eagles came out the gate the way that they did is because they got embarrassed at Northwest Stadium. Okay? They came out swinging because you can't let the Washington Commanders score 22 points on you in the fourth quarter of a game when you are the number one defense. So if people would have watched my show, which I think this is a person that doesn't, I said that last week. I literally said, look, that comment, that's what they do all the time. And that had nothing to do with what they did, other than how they lost at Northwest Stadium. And if we go back to round 2 of the Commanders and Eagles, CJ Gardner-Jones got himself kicked out the game over words, too much chirping, okay? Eagles still chirping. While you chirping, the Commanders end up scoring 22 points on you in one quarter. And one thing I said about that, they ended up getting embarrassed. Now they're going to be out for blood. So what they did, actually, they kind of did in round 2. Because in round 2, they caused 5 turnovers instead of 3. They just weren't able to effectively maximize off of those turnovers in round 2. So the comment, that's small potatoes. That's nothing, because every team is going to do that. Because here's the thing. Coming out the gate swinging would have mean you would have did something to Jaden, and they didn't do anything to Jaden. You might have got to Jaden a few times, but that, no. Your quarterback, your QB1 went out that second round game, and your defense got embarrassed. That's what happened. It had nothing to do about that comment. So use your clues. Keep watching my show, because I'm going to give it to you straight all the time. The Philadelphia Eagles got embarrassed over at Northwest Stadium, and they should have been embarrassed, and they should have absolutely done what they did yesterday, because that's embarrassing. 22 points in a quarter. I hope that answers your question, Harmony. because I'm like, wait a minute. Now people coming on my show that don't ever come. Welcome. And I'm going to absolutely answer your question. I hope I gave it to you. Now, shall we move on? Yes, we shall. Now, back to the Commanders end of season. Y'all know I don't mind calling it. Let's go ahead and bring this on, because this is why we do lives. People don't even come on, but we're gonna go ahead. Listen, I'm gonna always give it straight, no chaser. Like, you come on here talking about all that. Come on now. You're talking to somebody that knows football. You can't get into words. The Eagles needed their get back. And it really wasn't even the defense that got their lick back. It was that offense. That's what it was. But anyway, like I was saying, shall we move forward? We shall. The Commanders got their wake-up call. And speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles, if you're looking at the NFC East specifically the NFC East, you understand what the bar is. You know what the bar is. You know who the bar is. And the bar is the Philadelphia Eagles. You knew that anyway. And another thing, that when you think about the bar being the Philadelphia Eagles, you got to think of it like this. They were just in the Super Bowl and lost to the opponent who they'll see again in 2 weeks. They know what it feels like to get to the mountaintop and fall, and only by a field goal. They know what that feels like. They want that back. Why you think you don't get a Saquon Barkley to go sit on the couch? You get a Saquon Barkley because you're trying to succeed. So they shouldn't be shocked, although they are. They absolutely are. And I'm about to go to Jaden Daniels' presser from after the game. Like I said, we talked to Jaden today. We talked to several of the players today. I think it's about 16 videos or interviews out there on the Bowie TV YouTube. So make sure you check those out. They'll also be on television. But they really thought they had it. And I can't say, I'm gonna also say this. I can see why the Commanders thought they had it, because we're going to go back to this. Round 1, the Commanders defense held for, I keep saying this, they held for 53 minutes. They held for 53. The rest of it, they let it go. But Jaden Daniels was hurt that game. Okay. Round 2, neck and neck a little bit. Jalen goes out. Still kind of neck and neck. Your defense, your number 1 defense gives way. You let the offense beat you. Round 3 is kind of like, oh, well, this will probably be even. Not at all. This is why we're dealing with a shocked group, which now I'll go to Jaden's presser from after the game, because you all probably saw this already, but I'm going to put this here.
Jalen, seemed like you guys are there most of that game. Those mistakes at key times. How was it to overcome those mistakes and fumbles and turnovers?
Yeah, I mean, turnovers play a huge factor into the game, especially playing a good team like Philly. You can't get those guys extra possessions.
When you look at this team, what that journey they overcome, these guys tough, and getting us through that Bears game and everything you guys have been through, even though this is a painful one obviously for you, but just talk about what this team takes and what you take from this journey.
Yeah, obviously, man, it sucks, man. It just sucks. Excuse my language. But just, I couldn't be prouder of the guys in the locker room. Just year 1, everybody not really knowing each other. Rookies, the vets did a tremendous job of, bringing us in and helping us out. And, we all just meshed, and, we got to this point. But at the end of the day, man, we lost. It sucks. But we'll move on from this.
How confident were you guys throughout the contest? Because it was up and down for the most part. You said that you guys never lost that confidence in the entire contest.
Nah, we believe that we belong here. We kudos to Philly and what they did. Hell of a team, and good luck to them. What was Philly's message to you guys actually? Man, just savor this moment with the people in the locker room. Every year, every locker room is different. So we earn the right to be here, but at the end of the day, man, it just sucks.
Yeah, I know the locker room is tough right now, but is there a sense of motivation with you, with teammates that might be back next year?
For sure. I don't want to have a feeling like this again, but you got to deal with it and move on from it.
Jake, do you learn anything about yourself this season?
I couldn't even tell you right now. I have to think about that.
You've been through so many big games, collegiate here and now as well. How much did that kind of help you throughout this process in terms of seeing what they presented at you and what they threw at you and overcoming those kind of things?
Yeah, I mean, it was just another game for me. That's how I treat it. That's how I treat every game. You got to go out there and earn it. You got to prove it. And, tonight we didn't earn it.
Couple more?
What was the post-game locker room like with Bobby and Terry and the other veterans kind of going around and consoling guys?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's tough. I'm obviously taking this loss pretty hard, but having those guys around and be able to just to uplift other individuals in the locker room, man, I appreciate them a lot.
It may be difficult to think about the future now. What do you think is transferable from what you guys have built this season in 1 year? Guys are going to need it going forward.
Man, just the culture at DQ and Adam said here. We know the standard, and locker room next year. We're obviously going to have guys that new guys come in and stuff like that. So we got to teach them the standard and uphold it to that.
All right,
Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Jake.
As you all can see, that was very hard for Jaden Daniels to get through right after the game. But hey, we know that this kid is the ultimate competitor. He hates losing. And anybody who's used to winning and loves winning and is a competitor, of course they're going to hate to lose. Of course they're going to hate to lose. So, hey, as it came up in the press conference, it was absolutely guys consoling one another, talking to one another, just trying to be the voice of reason while folks were going through obvious pain to that loss. So I'm looking at some of these questions. I want to get to what Jaden shared about the standard. I think you all know I asked Terry McLaurin last week about the commander standard. I think this is the right clip. I think it is. Check this out. Listen to the whole entire thing. And as you're listening to it, let me know and just drop in the chat if you can feel and know and using your clues, right? What you saw transpire here in year one of this regime. Check it out.
Terry, and so kind of along that same lines, very early on in the season, I think even back to OTAs, you all established something called the Commander Standard.
Yeah.
And so how has that played a factor, that words into action, into where you are right now?
Yeah, that's it's a code we live by, It's something that came up in our early part of our season in the spring, and DQ put it into the leaders' hands and told us to come up with something that you could call it a code, a creed, a saint, whatever you want to call it. It's something that we all live by, that we all sign, that we all, no matter if you've been here for 6 years, or you just came in off of free agency or practice squad, whatever. This is the code that you live by as a commander. And when you hold a standard and you put it in writing, you sign your name to it, you hold yourself accountable to that. And not only you hold yourself accountable to that, the other guys in the locker room are going to hold you accountable to that. And it's really cool to be able to see the words that we put down And you look at what we wrote back in, what was it, April, March, whenever we wrote it early in the spring, and we're now here in January, and you see all the things that we wrote on that piece of paper are coming to life, and it's the way of life that we approach each and every day coming through the building. So it was cool to be able to come up with something from scratch with a group of guys who didn't really know each other much before this season, but we had a goal of being different and being uncommon than anything this place has ever seen. And for us to put that down on paper and then live by it, anybody can come up here and see all these sayings. Like, we can say anybody, anytime, anywhere, but if you don't live it, like, it doesn't really mean nothing. And I think we got a group of people who want to live the words that we're speaking. And that's why I'm big on, being who you say you are. And doesn't mean you're going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you're going to fall short. But if you say you're a dog or a competitor, you have to be that. You can't pick and choose when you're whatever you say you are. And so that commander standard is non-negotiable. And the great thing about it is there hasn't been any issues and hiccups with it, because that's the culture that we've created here. And so going forward, that's who we are. And so whoever comes in here, that's what you hold your standard to. And that's the great thing about a culture, because before that, sometimes anything goes. Like, it's sometimes hard to keep guys accountable. But when you have one sound, one standard, and everybody's holding accountable to it, you got no choice but to live up to that standard and uphold that, because if you don't, you stick out like a sore thumb, and you got to buy in. So it's not a threat. We take that with great pride, because we built that from the ground up, and we're looking forward to building on that.
Love button, fire emoji, all of the things. If now you understand the commander standard, this was something that came up, as I mentioned to Terry, this came up back in the spring. When they mentioned it, I heard it, I held on to it, I asked about it a little bit, like in training camp. I ain't gonna pull those receipts, but Terry remembered, and I asked Coach Quinn about it as well. That I asked, and I said, I'm gonna ask about this, depending on where things go, depending on how the season goes. I'm gonna bring this back up. I mean, even if the season hadn't gone well, I was gonna bring it up again anyway. Whenever it was the right time, I was going to bring it up, and I felt like that was the right time, and so I brought it up, and I appreciate it. Just the thoroughness in Terry's answer, because it is a very important point. And as your comments have already said, for them to not, and Terry said it, right? Not to even really know each other, to be able to bond and come together on a document that they all signed, and that they wrote collectively and said, this is the way that we want to, this is the standard. And like you said, whoever now, you already get the expectations, you already know what it is, and whoever doesn't go along with that, the commanders aren't for them. They're clear on what it means to be a Washington Commander. And let me just say this as well. The way they lost, all of that absolutely stinks. You see it. You felt it. I mean, you see it. I felt it. All those things. But don't let anybody make you feel like what they have accomplished in year one is small potatoes. It's not. It is a very, very big deal. And it also shows you the difference in what can happen when you have great leaders. You have a vision and a mission for how you want your organization to be, and you align and you fill that organization and people based on that vision and that mission that you have. And whoever doesn't meet that, whoever doesn't fit that, if it's not for them, you let them go. It's really kind of that simple. And I think in terms from what I can see, now, have I ever read the commander standard? In general, do they talk about the commander standard and things that are on there from the commander standard? Absolutely. But have I ever actually seen it word for word? No. And that is something they're going to keep close to the vest, as they should, right? But you think about all the changes. You think about the fact that there is a document, the commander standard, and you just look at the season and you say, yeah. I can see that. I can totally see that. And it's good stuff. One question, did you show any person in the organization our responses? It depends. It depends on the conversation. Because I am taking questions, as y'all saw earlier, and I will take questions, but it depends on the conversation. Like, for example, the comments that everyone was sharing on my Facebook post about how proud everyone was of the organization. I talked to a couple people about that, and they saw that, and they know what they know and they feel it, what the team, the success, what it has done for the community. They understand that. They understand that. And so acknowledging this question, I don't know, Terry, of course, he absolutely is. He absolutely is. So yeah. And so I want to acknowledge this, because this was not something created in the days of Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Let's be very, very clear. This is something, the Commander Standard was created after, in the reign of Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. This was something that came with Dan Quinn. This is not something that happened prior to Dan Quinn at all. So I want to be clear on that. So I have some other questions that have come through, and I see someone is commenting about Marshawn Lattimore, and I had a question. Someone did send me a question about Marshawn. So I want to acknowledge some of these questions because I think they're very important points. I'm looking them up now. How did the coaching staff feel about Lattimore play since he came back from the last injury setback? Is he going to be a piece going forward? So Adam Peters was asked that question today. I believe it was by Sam Fortier in the end of year press conference. And what he said was, you know, Marshawn had a tough go. He's had a tough go since he's been here. When he was traded, he came to Washington. He was injured. He had to work through that injury, a lot of recovery, which hindered him, you know, learning the defense, learning his teammates. He's been now getting acclimated and learning his teammates, but it is going to take, you know, he can't wait for this offseason. It's exactly what Adam Peters said. He can't wait for this offseason for him to really learn the defense. So that would lend me to believe that Marshawn will be a piece going forward. He'll be here. And with the opportunity to learn the defense, because he was rehabbing so much so that he could be available for the run that they knew they were on. We didn't know, but they absolutely knew. So, yes, to that question, it surely says that, but that was his answer. You know, hey, Marshawn was injured and he was in recovery a lot, and that hindered the learning process because you're trying to recover and you can't effectively learn when you can't practice, right? It's got to be both. So still high hopes there, as they should be, right? So want to make sure I acknowledge that. There was another question, I think, from Jason Hester. That previous question was from Corey Pittman. This question from Jason Hester: do you think Cliff is leaving, and do you think they will do something about the poor run defense? I don't think that Cliff is leaving, but I also don't know, right? Seems like most of the jobs are taken, but hey, stranger things have happened. Cliff has said in a number of forums and venues that he is very, 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 very happy here. And being here has rekindled his love for football. That's huge. So there's that. In terms of what to do with the poor run defense, here's what we've seen so far. If there is a problem, if there is an issue, if there is a challenge, Adam Peters and staff is going to do what they can to, and I know that the Saints job is still open. So I don't know. That's why I said I don't think he's leaving, but you never know. But going back to the poor run defense, I believe that Adam Peters and team will do what they can to correct that. Right? You know, so much got done. Love button fire emoji. Come on, you all. Total 14-6. Total for the season. Regular season, postseason, 14-6. After a 4-13 season. I think it's safe to say this staff corrected some things. NFC Championship appearance, year 1. Think they've worked on a few things, I'd like to say. And here's the thing. They worked on a few things, and you still see a group who is gutted because of the loss in the NFC Championship. And of course, it's not so much how they lost. It's just that they lost. Okay? So I think the reaction, I mean, the score is horrible, but let's be clear. The reaction would have been the same if it would have been by a point, a field goal, whatever the case may be. So this is something that, and I see, comments here coming in, and I see this one from my brother here. Hey, they have set the bar high, but it should not be a soul complaining, because they set it's a few different things that you really have to say. Use your clues. You already have seen in action what they have done to change. These aren't words. You've seen it. You saw this team make changes in the season to their roster. You've seen them make significant changes, right? You've seen the decision-making and who they brought in free agency, who they've drafted, that have paid and showed dividends on the football field. You've heard that I've shared it with you about the Commander Standard. I would allow your favorite wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, I asked him, I said, let's play this clip so that people can hear that there is, in fact, a standard. So all of the things you want your organization to be doing, they're doing. Absolutely doing. In the way that they feel, in the way that they felt last night, in the way that they feel today. Listen, that's what you want to see. People who are gutted, and they'll get past it. But hey, then people are honest. Don't know when I'm going to get past it, but I'll get past it at some point. John Thomas asked a question, what they going to do about the running back situation, hoping they look to draft one that will help JD5. I mean, the draft is in April, okay? It's January the 27th. So I think we should just, wait and see what they do. As I mentioned, it's Senior Bowl week. So there will be, the Shrine Bowl just wrapped up. It's a Senior Bowl week. They got to go through Combine, which is the end of February. They got to go through pro days at these schools. So just, sure they'll get something going there. I'm going to be objective, and I'm also going to be like, hey, bring it down a notch, everybody. Okay, 14-6. 14-6 after 4-13. Won a total of 4 games, then 14. Okay, NFC Championship appearance. Give the people a minute. Come on, let's be reasonable. And you're going to end up asking me all these questions again, because there are people already asking, in your opinion, what are the top 3 positions? Who would you like to see added? Who would you like to see retained? What are your thoughts on retaining Bobby and Ertz? So I can talk about retention. Because I'm going to tell you like this. People ask me about Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz. And I will just say this. Use your clues. Use your clues. Okay, everybody, somebody hashtag it. Use your clues. Drop it in the chat. The 2 people that I'm asked about were voted by their teammates as postseason captains. And oh, by the way, Bobby Wagner is now going to the Pro Bowl because Vaughn is playing in the Super Bowl, so he will take Vaughn's place in the Pro Bowl. So Bobby Wagner is going to the Pro Bowl. It's 10 Pro Bowls for him, I think. If these are two veteran players that have come in and are voted by their teammates to be postseason captains, I think the answer is right there. Absolutely, I think they should be retained because they're great for this culture. And they're great for the culture. In a sense, right? It's about the fit for the culture. It's about who's going to produce. And I think both of those players, gave great production. I'll talk, another player that has not been talked about a lot is Jeremy Chin. I haven't talked a lot about Jeremy Chin. And I think that's a player that you'd like to keep, right? From the 1-year deal players. And there's a lot of 1-year deal players. As they shared, Dan Quinn and Adam Peters shared in their end of season presser today, they talked to each one of the players, and literally every player said they want to be a Washington Commander. They want to be a Washington Commander. And this will be an atmosphere and a team that people want to be in. The utmost respect for the coaching staff, great resumes across the board. You got a quarterback in Jaden Daniels, and you have a locker room of vets that are so well respected, and people love Terry McLaurin. And it's now a spot. It's now a spot that it's like, I want to be there. I want to go there. And for that alone, Commanders fans, is something that everybody should be very, very proud of. Right? Because remember, just a year ago, it was, well, who's even going to coach that team? What are they even going to do? Who's even going to be there? They have no idea what the quarterback situation is going to be. It's a different quarterback. Every game is a different quarterback. Look at what has happened and what has transpired. And the NFL is such a tough business. I mean, the reality is it can only be one Super Bowl champion. There can only be one. Because you've seen how tough this business is. We've seen teams that made the playoffs and end up losing. There can only be one winner from a game, but teams end up losing, and their coaches or coordinators or somebody end up getting fired. And it's like, what was that for? So we'll see what happens. I mean, you look at all the moves they made last offseason, they didn't even spend a lot of money. And it paid real dividends. So let's see what they do again. So this one says, no, I posted, will we get a Candi on the Beat segment next year displaying you rapping a song during the game? I posted one. You might have missed it. I posted one. I gave you all one crisscross jump. I gave you all one. So you go, enjoy that one. You all don't want to see all of my, on the beat shenanigans. Because you got to do something to keep yourself going. It's a stressful environment, but it's nowhere near. It's not. It's good stress. It's great stress actually this season. And so you never know. I might give you another one. You never know, because they play good music. They tend to play very good music, and when you are enjoying, I think the NFC Championship game was the first time I didn't like what I watched the whole entire time, because I was like, what is happening right now? But hey, I think that the Scars, they hadn't got a real good dagger together, and they needed a dagger, and they got it now. They know what this feels like, and they don't like it. And for that, I think is promising. Are there any more? Drop some in the chat. I got about 5 or 10 or so more minutes to see if you all have some more questions for me. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Because when it comes to free agency is like in March sometime. We all know that the draft is in the end of April. It's an important point, combine starts, end of February, the last week of February. Then you got free agency. Then you have, like I said, you have all the pro days. And so right around combine, you all, because I do plan on attending the combine. If you all have been watching and following, I've been attending the combine the last few years. So I plan on attending again this year. And so I appreciate these comments as well. Thank you. And keep listening. I do the lives, but in the off season, I'll probably do some more recorded videos like I was doing last year. So I appreciate all the comments. You guys have been phenomenal. And so combine is when I'm gonna start getting into the draft needs and all that, but let's put a bow in this, because Commanders fans, I do hope that you all are pleased. The team is not pleased. Let me be clear. They're not pleased. They're very upset. But overall, though, this has been tremendous, right? And you all heard some of the pain in DQ's voice. You heard it in Jaden's voice after the game. And with Adam as well. So we saw Cosme last week. We saw him today. He's having his knee surgery tomorrow, he told us. His media scrum, go on the Bowie TV YouTube. His media scrum is on the Bowie TV YouTube. So just check it out. I think it's like 15 or 16 players. We got Jaden from today, Terry McLaurin, Sam Cosme, Tyler Biotage. Give me some more. I did a one-on-one with Jamison Crowder, a one-on-one with Jeremy Chin, but then there's media scrums with Frankie Louvu, Brandon Coleman. Just keep naming them. Olamide Zacchaeus. It's like 16. Tressway, everybody like Tress. Nick Allegretti, Zach Ertz. Forget Zach. Zach Ertz. It's a bunch of them on the Bowie TV YouTube. Please go on there and check them out. I think you all will enjoy it. I think you all will still feel that they are upset. Yes, Mikey is on there as well on the YouTube channel. Yeah, we didn't catch everybody, but but about 15 or 16 players we got today. So are you optimistic or confident with what you experienced this year regarding a long-term? Oh, yes, I am. And that is why I really try to use your clues, and I really try to follow up with questions of things that I heard way back when. I want to know if what I'm seeing and hearing is real. I want to know if this is right. And I can, you see it and hear, it's words. But when you see the actions and things on the field, that it's like, okay, all right. And this is why I know that the NFC Championship game performance overall is just that's not the Commander standard. And this is why, and that's why they were so hurt by it, because it was like, what is this? Mistakes here and there, sure, but whoa, hey, what is this? So they'll get past it in their own time. I appreciate you, and yes, I'm glad you all watched the pregame show. You all, during the regular season and the postseason, an hour before kickoff of the Commanders games, I do a pregame show called the All Burgundy and Gold Everything. You got to follow those guys. They're super awesome. And they're also part of Fox Sports 1340 AM Hopewell. So I do that every week during the regular season and postseason. So during the Commander season, 1 hour before kickoff. And so you want to, I'm live from wherever I am. I do it. So you all want to tune in there. So this is technically the last live of the season. This is my last live. Like I said, I will be still doing content, of course. And if you're following me on all of the platforms, then you should be still getting Commanders updates, because there'll be Commanders updates. There's still going to be things to talk about, because of course there are. So, and why wouldn't there be? But I mean, I'm glad you all enjoyed the lives. And you never know, I might change my mind, be like, okay, we're going to do a live. We'll see. Hey, I almost brought the mink out. Let me go get my mink for this NFC championship. But no, I said, no, I'm not ready. They made the Super Bowl by the throw it over myself like a cape, like James Brown or somebody, or Morris Day in the Time. Y'all know Morris Day in the Time. So I appreciate all of the kind comments of thanking me for the platform. You learn so much. And yes, thank you. Take some time for self-care. I am exhausted. Okay. I'm smiling because it was a really good season. It really, really went. I promise you, it was amazing in every sense of the word. But I am tired. Turn on your notifications. Absolutely. Thank you all. This has been a good ride. It's been a good ride. When we were leaving out of Ashburn, it was like, take a team picture, because they had their team pictures out on the table. And I was like, I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to frame it, because honestly, seriously, I will, no doubt about it, not forget this season. I won't, because this is the first NFC championship I've ever covered. First real, true winning season that I've covered since being on site. So this was fantastic. Everybody's upset and mad, but hey, I hope that they get back to the joy. They learn from it. They understand how it feels, so that as what many of the messages were today in the end of year locker room clean out and media scrums, is that they will do what needs to be done so that they never have to feel this way again. So we'll see how that goes. And then we'll be using our clues some more on that, saying, remember last year they said they never wanted to feel like this again. There you have it. You all be blessed, stay blessed, and stay locked into Bowie TV. Make sure you're following, make sure you are subscribed. Trust me, you can always find me, and I'm not going far at all. Okay, I will be talking to you all, I'm sure, sooner than you think, but not until I take a few naps first. Okay, God bless you all, and I'll be talking to you all again soon.